Good afternoon. Welcome to Chatbox with Sam. Today's guest is John Grist, and John is a musician. Hello, John. Welcome
Hey, how
to
you doing? Thank you for having me.
You are welcome, John. Thank you for coming on Chatbox with Sam. How is your day?
It's going good. Just fighting the afternoon thunderstorms here in Orlando.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Florida late afternoon rain every day seems like during the summer. So
Why are you there?
because it's beautiful all the other times.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I've just been in Pensacola, but that was nice, and yeah, it was good. But in California, it's very hot. It was like 106 degrees the other day in Sacramento.
Yeah.
But luckily, I'm not that far up there in the city. I'm in the foothills, but it's a little bit cooler. So, John, if you were to encourage the younger generation, what would be the main focus?
Me personally, I didn't really take in the advice I was given when I was young, which most young kids don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want to go off and make their own decisions. But I remember 14 like it was 30 years ago.
It's a lot longer for me.
But I would say don't get hung up in all the hoopla, what's popular and this. Just stay the course, stay focused on what your dreams and goals are, and don't let the outside influence you or impact you in a negative way. And just carry yourself with good values and be kind to thy neighbor, and everything should work out for you.
That's very good advice, John. I completely agree. So, how do you feel that music has influenced your life?
I would say that for me, I have a pretty strong emotional connection in music, especially when I think about past experiences or places I've been or things that happened in my life. I can listen to music and it'll instantly take me back to that specific point in time. Like sometimes songs raise the hair on me, on my arms, because I'm literally right back there feeling the same emotions of that moment in time. Maybe that song wasn't playing back then, but that song took me there. So I think there's a huge emotional connection for that. So I use music as therapy for me. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm having a rough day or dealing with stuff. Sometimes I just walk away and listen to some tunes, and it'll bring me right back to reality, in a calm way. So, it's been that way for me forever. I loved, when I was in a band, Stellar Junction, I did love performing all the time, and just the crowd response and just being out there. Mm-hmm. And being able to let myself completely go and just be myself and let the music come through me and let me perform the way I felt I wanted to perform.
And what instruments do you play?
I'm actually a singer. I'm a vocalist. So when I first started out singing, I guess I always had a fascination with kind of singing. I was drawn into it in high school. I actually used to play CDs or tapes, cassettes, mm-hmm. And I had a guitar and a guitar amp, and I'd plug a microphone into the amp, and I would sing and try to emulate the artist that I was listening to, and I started learning my voice that way. And when I first got out and was singing with an actual band, I could hold my own, but I didn't have the vocal technique that I had later on. Mm-hmm. There's so many factors that go into singing, mm-hmm. Your breathing and just so many things that go into how you sing. Being able to have your voice melodically change along with the music and not be so monotone. That was something I I was a very monotone like singer. I could handle a note, but there wasn't too much life to it. And later on, moving around on stage and performing, I just loved it. I loved when I could hear myself back in the monitors and go, man, I'm on point tonight. But
Right.
there's also plenty of times that I would hear myself and be like, yeah, I'm not on point tonight. Maybe I had one extra beer I shouldn't have had or something. I mean, everybody has nights they're not in the pocket. So.
Absolutely. Everyone has bad days at work, and that's what it is. I mean, we're doing a band, or you're on a film set, or you're on a chat show. We have good and bad days. There's good moments. There's technical failures, and yeah. So it's good. So, what kind of music genre do you sing?
I could do any kind of classic rock, blues, modern rock. I mean, when I was growing up, I listened to in my household there was a lot of I love Motown.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Temptations, Four Tops, Smokey Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Gaye. I love all that.
Awesome.
Even back into old blues.
Mm-hmm.
I like Robert Johnson, Albert King, Muddy Waters, Buddy Guy, B.B. King, Stevie Ray Vaughan when blues was kind of changing a little bit, and I got more into this actually because of the guitar player, my buddy Dave Martin, who was in my band Stellar Junction. They got me more involved in the blues aspect, and which also helped me, I guess, my ability to put soul into my singing. Be
Right.
as soulful as I could, but I also grew up listening to Elvis. I grew up with, yes, Elton John is one of my favorites. Billy Joel, Jim Croce, Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on all the way to Alice in Chains, Pantera. I grew up listening to Metallica, Nirvana. Yeah, so I have a broad spectrum of everything, and that's because I love music legitimately. I could see the joy in all kinds of music. I even listen to some, in high school, I listened to some hip hop, old school hip hop out of, California, and New York. I'm not really into what's going around today as far as hip hop music. I'm just, I look at, hip hop back then, there was a lot of meaning and to the songs. But I listen to everything, and that kind of like defines me as far as my joy for music. I can hear anything and be like, wow, that's cool. Or I can listen to it and I can find it. But the biggest thing, I think, musically for me, is, as far as music go, is when a song gets released and it goes out there and it touches millions of people in the exact same way.
Right.
That's why they're all fans of the song, whatever song it is.
Yeah.
It reaches the spectrum of just so many people. So when you hear about artists selling hundreds of millions of records, or Elvis, I think he's maybe up in the billion records.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's pretty.
You gotta, to think about the amount of people on the face of the earth, and that's all touched those people in the exact same way and gave them joy somehow. That is a phenomenal power that music has.
I think music holds memories for all of us, and it's instilled in our soul, and it's definitely a mood changer. It definitely connects us when we don't have the words. We can play a song and connect via music.
Yeah.
It definitely touches every single person, Yeah. So it's very powerful. That's why I put the question into I used it as part of a question because everyone can relate. And with the questions I put to everybody is showing our similarities and our unique differences, and how as a society, if we could just accept people's differences and realise that we're more familiar than we are different, unity is powerful. We could unite And sometimes if we can't unite through words, we can unite through music. So it's a very powerful source.
Yes, very powerful.
Yes. So what out of all the charities that are out there, which one would you advocate for and why?
Well, there's so many good charities out there that really do good for people that need them. I'm a veteran. I'm a 100% disabled veteran, and there's a lot of good veterans organizations to help veterans come back and get on their feet. And veterans, I just want to make this statement. Veterans, when they get out of the military, a lot of veterans have a real hard time adapting back to normal life and what it's like out here, because depending on the jobs that you do, your mind can be going 100 miles an hour all the time, and then you come back and now your mind has no use for that speed. You know what I mean? And it becomes like a hidden thing in you. So I look at a lot of organizations for charity, for veterans and things like that. But one of the other ones would be like St. Jude's.
Yeah.
Anything for children. Nothing hurts me more than when I see stories of a child, innocent, didn't even know they were going to be on this earth, and they're here, and they're 2 years old or 1 year old, and they're fighting cancer.
Yeah,
and
it's
they
awful.
don't get they're not going to have a chance to grow up and have a family or children or a life, or maybe one of those kids could have been somebody that could do something to change something in the world.
Right.
And they're not going to have that opportunity. So I can't stand seeing children in pain.
No, me neither.
And the unfortunate reality with it is every country in the on earth is fighting some form of this, and some have more access to other things. Everybody in the United States wants everybody in the United States to be good, but there's also there's people that don't have access to medical treatment facilities or food and things like that. It's such a world problem that anything charity-wise that helps out anything like that
With children.
Yes, I'm totally for.
And I completely agree with you 100% on that. There's a few charities out there for children, and because they don't have the monies to treat, especially and cancer research and stuff.
My outlook on the between veteran and children's charities, as a veteran myself, I struggle with things, but I would rather have money go to a charity. If I was in a charity accepting position, I would rather have money go to help a child than myself.
Oh.
And that's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Oh. I like that answer. Because you're putting the children first. Oh, bless you.
For the future.
For the future, they are, definitely. So, how do you feel about what has transpired since COVID-19? And do you actually see us turning to a normality?
The old COVID question.
Sorry.
I guess my well, I'll tell you, I was actually down in Tampa when it started to become a national emergency here in the United States, and people were freaking out. Everybody was freaking out. Like, they were like, "Oh, they're closing roads. You better get back to Orlando. You're not going to be able to drive." And I'm thinking, like, when I get out there, it's going to be like the apocalypse. And I'm like, what the heck? But then I came back, and I was actually in between moving out of my old place and before I moved in where I'm here now. And I stayed with my folks at their house. But I stayed in the den and had to quarantine, for 14 days.
Yeah.
They brought me food to the door by the pool. And then, I would open it, I couldn't I had to, stay away from my folks because they're
Yeah, because
older.
they're older.
So I'm like, man, this is crazy, And then the everything with the media, and I would have to say that I'm really upset and not a fan, really. The media is supposed to. It doesn't matter what network it is. They're supposed to bring news and current events on a factual basis out across the board. It shouldn't be one against the other because you're causing confusion with the people that
Right.
watch the news for current events. So I think there was a lot of mistakes on that aspect, and it does a lot of harm. You have a lot of people that walk around with masks on and then a face shield over it, and they got gloves on, and they drive in their car alone with the mask on. They're walking and exercising down the road away from everybody with a mask on. And it's like, to each their own. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, I totally support. I'm not knocking anybody on any of that, but I personally have only worn a mask when I've had to go into a building, a restaurant, a medical facility, because it's required by them. And for me to take care of my business at that establishment, I have to wear that. So I'm fine with that. But I think it's caused people to get very fearful about things. So there's people that are staying locked up. I think there's a lot of miscommunication that's been out, and I think it's done some damage to the masses, and it's in turn has caused a lot of division on things.
Well, fear is used on many platforms by politicians. I'm not just talking about COVID, I'm talking about in general. Fear is used as a mass tool to control a nation. And media is political, scripted-based news. If they, certainly in a pandemic, instead of going with the politics, they should have all united instead of fighting each other on who's the best news channel. Let's all unite, let's together and bring the same correct scientific news. Not based on politics or ratings. It's going to be based on the science of what the actual science is.
Yeah, back in the day, I'll just make a quick little political statement on this. But back in the day, when politicians were running against each other and things like that, they were always trying to find some kind of dirt because they wanted to leg up in the election to hopefully win.
Right.
Nowadays, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. People are not pulling any punches. They're trying to find whatever they can, or even possibly create things that they can. And, I think a lot of people out there are seeing issues with their representatives that they're not happy about. And, when it comes time to vote, maybe, people will make decisions that they feel will suit them. As far as the COVID thing, though, I think it's come full circle back to what people thought it was when it first came out. And now there's evidence supposedly showing that. So, all this, like, people literally quit being friends with people, stop talking to family members because of this. That is completely ludicrous that you would let things like this divide you to the point that you can't have an adult debate conversation where you can agree to disagree without causing such nasty division and stuff like that. And I will want to throw out one point that how crazy this stuff is. I do some things in the financial realm, so I watch a lot of news, and Jerome Powell was speaking the other day, and I was watching to see how the stock market was going to react to what he was speaking on about inflation and things like that. So this guy is here at a hearing to testify about inflation rates and money and numbers and things like that are involved in the United States. And you have the chairman and these other people, on the committee talking about, so what do you think about when Fauci came out and said this? Or what do you think about this and that? And it has nothing to do with the financial. And they're sitting here talking about this, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, what the heck is he asked? This guy runs this part of the country.
Hmm.
He's not here to comment on vaccines and medical this and medical, like, why are they? And that's where it's gone to now. They're
Hmm.
still, it's fighting. It's just, it's
Yeah.
kind of, it's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on all day about the COVID. I haven't had the vaccine. I don't think there's enough science behind it yet. That's my personal opinion. And there are some medical things that are coming out now as far as the Moderna and the Pfizer causing thinning of heart walls and things like that. That is now, they came out and said, yes, this is true. So, and it's happening in older folks and younger folks. And they're saying it is true, but then they say, but the good part outweighs that. And I'm like, well, vaccines have always been, do you want it? You go to the doctor and like, hey, you want the flu vaccine? No, I'm good. Or yes, I'll take it. And it's like, it's always been that way. It's optional. And I just find it weird now that there's a new variant of COVID-19, the Delta variant, and they're using that to push people to take more vaccines. That's the catch-22 with it, but like one of the biggest things that was bothering me about it was, like New York, I guess, talking about a vaccine passport. Like, you're going to get to a point where I got to have a card and I can't go grocery shop unless I have a vaccine card. So now I can't buy food for my family. It's don't I could go on all day about this, that things I just don't agree with.
Hmm.
And and politically it's so out there in the open that you have to have the blinders on to not see what corruption's going on for money or this benefit or that, and they're using it for this and that. These bills that are coming out that are trillions of dollars, and it has nothing to do with this country.
Right.
So I mean, I could go on all day. I mean, I have my opinions. I speak my mind. But like I said, when it comes to the vaccine or mask, I completely support people that want to get them and wear them. And if it makes them feel comfortable, I'm all for it. I just don't. I don't need it pushed on me. You got to think this whole pandemic. Think about this for a minute. This is the first time in all of human history that you've been quarantined when you're healthy.
Right.
There's never been a quarantine for healthy people. But when you quarantine yourself and you're inside, the human body and the immune system works on daily contact.
Right.
When you go use your debit card and use a keypad, there's bacteria transfer. Every day, no matter where you go, there's bacteria transfer that keeps your immune system strong. When you stay locked up and you're not doing everyday normal things, your immune system becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. I think on the other end of that question you asked me if I ever thought it was going to go back to being normal. I think it's kind of changed things. I think we'll go back to normal to a point, but I think the way it was handled and information given to the world and the community, I think it's gonna change things, because you're gonna have countries that are gonna be, maybe America opens up almost like we were prior to it, but then you're gonna have other countries that are gonna keep stuff reeled in, I think.
Yeah.
And it's always gonna stay that way. So I think it's not gonna go back completely the way, but pretty close. And in the end, last thing I'll say on it is I respect anybody's decision to do whatever they feel makes them and their families safe.
Right.
And I'll do my thing. So.
That's right. And no one should dictate to anybody what to do. Personal choice. Constitutional right is freedom, right?
Correct.
Do you have any projects that you're currently working on or plan to work on?
Music-wise, I kind of had to step back from music. I did years ago. Just I was partying too much, and my passion was starting to get clouded. I still have some music ideas and things that I would like to start doing. I have a yearning to kind of mess around with producing and stuff. So I have, my big computer set up, and I have some, software. So I'm kind of messing around with stuff on that aspect. I did think about trying to do something again musically, but I'm kind of like a band wise, but I have a bunch of things that I'm interested in doing, and I do have some other ideas. I've been doing a lot of like art and design stuff for some clothing that I've been working on for almost a year. Uh, and then one thing I definitely am trying to do, I've been working on this for over a year, is I'm interested in brewing my own beer.
Yeah.
So I have some designs that I have federally trademarked for brands. It's a Caribbean style beer. And
Oh.
so I've actually been looking at that. And then I am interested in trying to put together some kind of YouTube series.
Web series.
Yeah, basically shot like a TV show.
Right.
You
Web
say.
series.
So
Yeah.
I have some ideas that I'm working on. Like that. I probably have about 10 things that I've kind of been messing with. There's probably 3 or 4 that I've honed in and whittled down to, but I'm trying to get it down to focusing on a lot on just one project and try to get that up and running. So, and then I do my financial stuff on the side. So I really enjoy that.
And you've done some acting too, right?
Yes, that's correct. I was actually blessed enough to get called from Jason London and Jason and Corn Nimmick. I was really glad reached out and offered me to be part of what they filmed Blackwater Blues there in Ocean Springs.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to jump at the opportunity because even when I was back doing music all the time, I've always been a person that's been very comfortable in front of others.
Mm-hmm.
What you see is what you get, and I'm always that way. And I did want to test the waters and try to do acting.
Right.
I kind of found it interesting. Years ago, I was out west when I first left the band, and I was out west and I was working for a TV station, live TV, and I got a bunch of great experience learning about cameras and live audio during shows and
Mm-hmm.
cutting the commercials. And that was one thing. But when Jason contacted me and asked me if I wanted to come be a part of it, I was like, yeah. So I flew up there, and it was such a cool experience to be a part of that and watch how it's done. How that type of production crew works and works so hard, and then just the way scenes were shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never seen anything like that or got to experience anything like that yet. I'm hoping to do more of it, obviously. But now I catch myself when I'm watching some of my favorite shows, and I'm like, that's why they put the camera like that. I'm like catching scenes, and I'm like,
all different angles.
Yeah, exactly.
Front and back and side and up.
Yeah, character reactions and like, that's like cool.
So yeah, the pilot presentation was awesome, and the graphics that they put into that, like the cartoon graphic, like comic, like a comic graphics.
Yeah, like it transfers to the next scene.
Yes, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I was very impressed with it. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, he called me and asked me if I wanted to come up and be part of the Hannibal's MC, which is the motorcycle gang in the series.
With Ben and Bobby, yeah.
And it was fun working along both those guys, and it was just fun. It was fun working with everybody there. I got so many new friends and connections, and that I literally chat with and joke with on a daily basis. So it's like it's just a whole influx of like a new extension of my family, and it's really great. I was happy to be invited to be a part of it, and I can't wait to see where it's going to be going.
Well, let's hope you get that web series up and running so we can see you get monetized on YouTube and get that out there too. And maybe you can invite me on for an interview for you.
Yeah.
With you.
It's like I said, I have so much time. I'm basically like a retired guy, so I have a lot of time to take this brain power and try to focus it on some artistic aspect of it.
Right.
I do want to say this. I did just this past Wednesday, I did get together with my old guitar player and a friend of mine, Selwyn Birchwood, who is an artist on Alligator Records.
Oh.
He's an international blues guy. We went up and we jammed over there in Sanford, Florida, at a place called the Alley. So I got to do some singing and hanging out with some buddies I hadn't seen in a while, and it was really refreshing and a great time.
John Grist, thank you very much for coming on Chatbox with Sam. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm sure the viewers will enjoy everything you've had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
You're welcome. I'm honoured.